6 wildly different shows to talk about this week, from the TV version of the video game Halo, a big blockbuster with a big budget, to Amy Schumer's new dramedy, to a Netflix contest asking, is it cake? Let's talk TV. Hey guys, Dan here. This is Dan Reviews It. Welcome to TV News and Reviews for the week. Yes, we've got 6 pretty different shows to discuss, starting with the big budget blockbuster of Halo, based on the, of course, very popular video game franchise. We've got WeCrashed, starring Anne Hathaway and Jared Leto, Life and Beth with Amy Schumer, Is It Cake on Netflix, and the American Song Contest as well. Both of those kind of unique contest shows. And then as well, Human Resources, which is a spinoff of Big Mouth, a popular show there. So lots to cover. And first, of course, we have to get to the news of the week. We will start with renewals and cancellations real quick, because I'm going to be reviewing it later on, is Life and Beth over on Hulu. That has already been renewed for season 2. Season 1, I think, was dropped all at once. I only watched the first 2 of them, but I do think it was put up all at once. So obviously Hulu happy with the ratings there, so they have already renewed Life and Beth for season 2. All right, Severance over on Apple TV being renewed. So that's pretty big. That was an exciting show. I have not finished it. I've watched, I think, the first 5 maybe, but I hear the finale is like bonkers, so I will continue watching that. The executive producer of that, Ben Stiller, said it was always in the works that it would be a multi-season story. And Apple TV is, really, really forward-thinking with, giving their shows life beyond that first season almost immediately. Sometimes before it even airs, they'll say, yes, we're going to commit to 2 seasons. So good news on Severance. HBO is bringing back Winning Time for season 2. Season 1, I think, just wrapped up. But they're bringing that back. ABC has Bachelor in Paradise coming for season 8 this summer, and Judge Steve Harvey for season 2 next fall. And then Fox has brought back The Cleaning Lady for season 2. So far, this is Fox's only live-action scripted program that has been renewed. A couple of the shows have already been canceled, but then we're still waiting on word for several of them. Pivoting and Call Me Kat, 2 of the comedies they have going on right now. And I think Our Kind of People maybe is still up in the air as well. But Cleaning Lady, which I thought was pretty generic, I didn't really care for it, but it will be back for season 2. And over on Amazon Prime, the show With Love for season 2 as well. Another one that I didn't really love. I gave it a C, but it's got 100% critics on Rotten Tomatoes and 80% with the audience. So obviously I'm in the minority on that one. So if you like that show With Love, you can look forward to more of that. But here was the biggest surprise of the week, and that's Dancing with the Stars. Sort of not quite canceled by ABC, but shifted for seasons 31 and 32 is moving to Disney Plus. At its peak, the show got 20 million viewers a week. Now it gets about 6 million. But with, the viewing habits shifting for everybody, that still makes it in the top half of shows for ABC. So there's a few different sort of reasonings, I think, going on with that. None have been announced, but number one, this was kind of announced as a reason. Instead of shifting the day of Dancing with the Stars, they decided to just throw it on Disney Plus, in general, because they want Monday Night Football back. It currently airs on ESPN, but I believe there are simulcast plans in the works, because of course less and less people have cable these days. So if you put it on ABC, it may get a bigger audience. I don't follow the numbers on Monday Night Football, but typically it's one of the big shows every week when it's on. But maybe with viewing habits changing, they want to do that. So instead of shifting Dancing with the Stars to a different night, they just said, well, you know what, let's put it on Disney. But I also think Disney Plus is obviously trying to age up their demo. They've bought the R-rated and TVMA Netflix Marvel programs that just started airing recently on there. So I think maybe they're trying to age up their viewership a bit, so it's not just kids that are mostly watching Disney Plus. That's my personal opinion. I haven't heard anything about that, but obviously they're trying to get an older type of demo in the door with the TVMA Netflix show. So that's just kind of my thought on it. But in terms of shows ending, I just have one. Lock and Key is going to be ending with season 3 likely this year on Netflix. 2 seasons are already up for that. It was first picked up by Fox in 2010 and never made it to air. And then they were going at it again in 2018 for Hulu. Didn't make it to air there, and ended up landing in Netflix court. And look, you're going to get 3 seasons out of it. So, for a show that almost didn't happen at all, I guess that's good. But, yeah, kind of a bummer. I liked that first season. I haven't caught on to the second season yet. But in casting news, we've got more Better Call Saul alum announcements. Bob Odenkirk is going to star and executive produce in an adaptation of Richard Russo's novel Straight Man, and it will be on AMC. It's been his home there for about 15 years between Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. But it comes from one of the writers of Damages and Resurrection. And then Paul Lieberstein, who plays Toby on The Office, is going to be one of the writers as well. So obviously it may have a little bit of a dark comedy lean to it. It's potentially debuting in 2023, and Peter Farrelly of the Farrelly Brothers is attached to direct, and he usually does a lot of funny stuff too, Something About Mary and Kingpin. The story is the midlife crisis of William Henry Devereaux Jr., who is played by Bob Odenkirk in this case, the unlikely chair of the English department at I think fictional college, a badly underfunded school in the Pennsylvania Rust Belt. Well, that's, almost in my backyard here, so great. More things to make Pennsylvania look terrible. Whoopi Goldberg has been added to Amazon Prime's series adaptation of The Anansi Boys. I think I mentioned this once before, but Delroy Lindo is also in the cast here. Goldberg is going to play Bird Woman, the god of birds, and one of the story's primary antagonists. She and the other cast members will play gods who make up the world before time, a place where the animals are gods who still walk, and that is full of beauty, magic, and danger. Tom Hiddleston to star in White Darkness over at Apple Plus. That is inspired by the true life account of this guy Henry Worsley, who I don't know, but he was a devoted husband and father, former soldier, and a man of deep honor and sacrifice, but also a man deeply obsessed with adventure, manifesting in an epic journey across Antarctica on foot. I like Tom Hiddleston, so that could be interesting. And then finally, one more in the camp of Better Call Saul, Jonathan Banks, who is like the older guy on there. I forget his name, but he was in the last part of Breaking Bad as well. But he is going to join up with Noomi Rapace in Constellation at Apple TV Plus, and that is described as a conspiracy-based psychological space adventure that explores the dark edges of human psychology, one woman's desperate quest to expose the truth about the hidden history of space travel, and for her to recover what she has lost. So I like many of those people, so looking forward to those programs. A few odds and ends for you. The punchy social media relationship between Rob Lowe and his son, John Owen Lowe, has inspired a Netflix comedy. I'm a Rob Lowe fan. I don't really follow him on social media, so I don't really know about this funny relationship between him and his son, but Unstable is the name of the show, and it's going to be on Netflix. It is a scripted show that follows an introverted son who goes to work for his wildly eccentric father in order to save him from disaster. It's a straight-to-series on Netflix, so we will definitely be seeing that. And one of the guys who previously created Santa Clarita Diet is going to serve as showrunner. I loved that show. I always talk about how it sucks that it got canceled on a cliffhanger. So yeah, if somebody from Santa Clarita Diet is involved, I'll usually, check it out for more than just, hey, let's review it for the show. All right, the Canadian Screen Awards were last week, and Transplant was celebrated as Best Drama, and that is airing now on NBC here in the States because of COVID. They were struggling to find shows, and this was a hit over on the CBC already, so they bought it. I did not keep up with it, but I enjoyed the first couple episodes that I was able to see for review, so that's cool. And and Sort of was Best Drama, or Best Comedy, rather. Sort of is a show that I've been talking about now for like 4 months. I saw it in December. It's on HBO Max. It was one of my top, I'm not sure if it was quite top 5, but it was very close, of 2021, and nobody talks about this show. So here I saw it. It was in the news again, so I got to mention it. So at the Canadian Screen Awards, Transplant, Best Drama, Sort of for Best Comedy. Each also won Writing awards. Transplant won 3 of the 4 acting categories, with Winona Earp winning supporting actor. And then Kim's Convenience, for its last season, won 3 of the 4 acting categories as well. For supporting actress, it was Letterkenny. 2 shows that I know I should watch. Kim's Convenience, I've had many people tell me that I would love it. I know Simu Liu from Shang-Chi is one of the main actors in that, so definitely want to check that one out. What else? Oh, and NBC's Peacock streaming service has ordered this unscripted series, The Gentle Art of Swedish Death Cleaning. It's sort of like a Marie Kondo, but for people. It's helping people organize who are at a major crossroads and need to perhaps organize and demystify their homes, lives, and relationships, allowing us to prepare for death while we enjoy life. Kind of morbid sounding, but you know what? For you Marie Kondo freaks out there, maybe it will have something for you. I think, look, you can see by just part of my DVD wall, I'm a bit of a collector myself. So the Marie Kondo thing of like tossing 90% of your life out the window, I can't get behind. I watched one of her shows, and I was like, this is a little too extreme for me. But this seems like the same type of thing, but to prepare for death. All right, then finally, in reboots and spinoffs, we have just one this week. AMC Networks has greenlit an Orphan Black spinoff called Echoes, set in the same fictional world as the BBC America favorite that ended about 5 years ago. Now, the series is set to debut in 2023 on AMC Plus, and as well the company's linear networks, including AMC proper, I guess. Orphan Black co-creator John Fawcett is on board as executive producer and director, and all we really know about it so far is that it is set in the near future, and Echoes will take a deep dive into the exploration of the scientific manipulation of human existence. Okay, well, we'll see about that. Orphan Black is another show. I need to make a list, actually, of like 5 or 6 or 7 shows from the last like 10 years or so that people have been telling me about, and I have to just, hunker down and watch them. I'm currently on The Americans. I've mentioned that a few times whenever Kerry Russell's name comes up. So that was one of them for sure that I can check the box off that I'm going through. But yeah, Kim's Convenience for sure. Orphan Black is one of them. Black Mirror is one of them. I got to get on some of these. I know. All right, so let's talk about the week's new programs. Halo is where we're going to start. This is, of course, based on the video game, but only loosely. This is sort of an interesting take on it. But the series follows a 26th century war between the United Nations Space Command and the Covenant, which is a military alliance of several advanced alien races determined to eradicate us, the humans. Oh, no. What are we going to do here? So Steven Spielberg counts himself as one of the executive producers here. And I didn't really recognize most of the cast, to be honest. Pablo Schreiber and Yaren Ha are sort of the 2 leads here. But what I thought was very interesting here is that they really have created a new kind of timeline for this show. This is not necessarily within the same canon as the program. So it's a standalone story. It's called the Silver Timeline. Now, look, I don't play these games. I tried a first-person shooter one time. I don't think it was Halo, but it might have been. It was a big one. It might have been one of the Halo ones. But in any event, I was terrible at it, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go back to Mario Kart. I can't deal with this. So I don't play these games, but I do think it's a unique take to not necessarily try to exactly emulate the video games. And there are some like first-person shooting type accounts as the story moves forward. The first 20 minutes is kind of all set up, and then we get to the opening theme, and we have the rest of the show that really is, I think, more video game involved in terms of like first person shooter, and we learn a little bit more about sort of the different races, and I think that's all kind of part of the video game. But I do think it's interesting that they're deciding to do something kind of new and just say, okay, well, this is inspired by Halo, rather than make it a continuation of the games. Because, as we know, and I just reviewed the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, the second one that just came out, as we know, most of the time, adaptations of video games, either TV or movies, do not work very well. The Sonic ones are kind of, a huge exception, but for the most part, they don't. So I think it's an interesting take to do that. And I will admit that some of the design of the characters and the aliens is really cool. They spent, over the course of these, I think it's 10 episodes total, they have spent $200 million on, whatever the whole season is. I think it's 10 episodes. So obviously they've plunked a lot of money down for this, and as such, the effects look pretty cool. The set pieces look very cool. However, that's kind of where my compliments end. I think that this is interesting to a point, but the basic premise and the sort of, the warring factions and the alien races and all of that. And, even the sort of design of like the desert and stuff like that. It's not, that stuff is not very inspired. There are some interesting set pieces, but I'm not sure if it's anything that is new and exciting. And as a result, other than the two leads, I think the script suffers too from sort of lack of originality. A lot of this stuff has been kind of seen before. So maybe it would have been a better idea to go with something from the Halo game. Because as a result, I think maybe you're going to alienate the Halo people that play the games because, this isn't like the games at all. So, forget this. That could be a possible, decision from the gaming community. But it's not original enough, I think, to bring in other people that really don't have interest in the game like myself. So it left me a bit cold. I think it was a bold idea to sort of have it be a standalone story, but for me it didn't quite work because I think they didn't give us something unique enough. So other than the two lead actors, there's a lot of kind of bad acting from the co-stars and sort of the lesser characters. And that didn't really make me want to watch more of it either. So for me, this was actually kind of a bust. I get what they're doing. The experiment is cool. And obviously they put their money to good use with the effects and the design of the characters and stuff. But for me, I was left a bit cold. Halo for me gets a C. All right, up next, we're going to talk about WeCrashed. I wasn't even sure what order to go in this week because a lot of these shows are being talked about. I mean, even American Song Contest and Is It Cake and, some of the stuff we always relegate sort of to the end, like the reality type shows, are getting buzz. So, but I'm sticking with sort of big names. And in Halo, of course, you have a huge video game. And here in WeCrashed, you've got two Oscar winners, Jared Leto and Anne Hathaway, leading this up. And it's based on a podcast about WeWork, which I'm kind of unfamiliar with, but WeWork is, basically this company that barely even really existed. It was all sort of, I don't know, from what I can tell from the first couple episodes, seems like kind of a Ponzi scheme, where they're sort of, making claims about this company, and it barely even exists. So as we get more in deeper, I guess I'll figure out more. But I didn't follow kind of the news story with WeWork, so I don't know much about it other than what I've seen here. But Anne Hathaway and Jared Leto play sort of the founders of WeWork. They're a married couple, and then Kyle Marvin, who I'm unfamiliar with, but he plays sort of the third co-founder of WeWork. And there's, people in here that I have not seen yet. America Ferrera is apparently in this show. I haven't seen her yet. Campbell Scott, haven't seen him yet. So I guess they'll be in future episodes. But look, I have mixed feelings on this because I'm at a point now where Jared Leto is really getting on my nerves. And I love his band, 30 Seconds to Mars. I've seen them several times. But, House of Gucci, I will admit he was one of the more interesting parts of it with that character. But it was like so out there and so bizarre that I don't know if it fit with the movie or not, but it was at least interesting to watch. But then he came out with Morbius, which is, for me, the biggest turd of the year so far. Horrible movie. And so I don't know, do we need a little break from Jared Leto? Maybe. I for one maybe do. He's doing another, crazy voice in this one. Because the guy is from, I forget where he's from, and he mentions it in the first episode too. But it's is it like it's not like Russia necessarily, but let me see. Oh, he's from Israel. Okay, so he's got a very thick Israeli accent. Okay, and it's like as an accent it works, but it's almost like Inventing Anna with Anna Pack or no, Anna Paquin plays the reporter. Julia Garner plays Anna Delvey or whatever her name is, and it was like this very bizarre accent, and slowly you kind of got used to it. But it's almost to the effect where like, okay, you're so unhinged, and the voice is kind of complementing the unhingedness of it. And so I can kind of get behind it, but it's very irritating to listen to. And I know that was the point. I know Jared Leto's doing a method thing, whatever. But I think because I'm kind of in this, like, can we kind of get past Jared Leto for like a year or so, and then we can come back to him? And Anne Hathaway, I felt that way about a while ago, and then, I think a lot of people were kind of getting sick of her, and so she did kind of stop doing movies for like 2 years or whatever. And now when you see her, it's like, oh, cool, I like Anne Hathaway again. And that's how I feel. Like she's actually been in a lot of these TV shows I've reviewed in the last year or two. She's done a lot of like pandemic type TV shows, and I do like seeing her in this. They have a good chemistry together. They're sort of laughing and having a great time. With this crazy company that doesn't exist, and they're duping people, and so it's kind of fun to watch. But I wonder, what exactly are we supposed to feel as the audience about these people, because they're duping all these people for like millions and millions, and in some cases billions of dollars. But I think they're supposed to come off as like funny and like quirky. I'm not sure how I feel about that, because are we supposed to sympathize with them, or are we laughing at them? I haven't gotten a good read on what this show wants us to feel about it. So I'm a little bit conflicted on how to feel about them and about the show. But I must admit, it, like Inventing Anna, and there again, I think is, she's sort of a vile character, but we're sort of invested in the story, and we almost want to root for her at some points. I'm getting the same kind of vibes from WeCrashed, and certainly these are two pros, in terms of acting. So I leave WeCrashed with a B. Up next is Life and Beth. This is featuring Amy Schumer at the head. And this is I would call it a dramedy. It's listed as a comedy, but for sure there are a lot of dramatic things going on just in these first two episodes that I saw. So an unexpected incident happens, and it's at the end of the first episode, so I don't want to say what that is, but it sort of changes Beth's life and sends her on this other path, and she starts having flashbacks to her teen self, and learns how she became the person she is today, and looking forward who she wants to become. Michael Cera is listed as a co-star in this program, but I'm 2 episodes in and I haven't seen him yet, so he must be maybe a potential suitor or something moving forward as the series progresses. But look, I'm an Amy Schumer fan. I loved when she hosted the Oscars, and I really enjoy this show. I think it does a lot of the things that I think sometimes the dramedy thing goes a little too into the drama. Like I felt that with Joseph Gordon-Levitt's Mr. Corman show on Apple TV Plus. But Amy is just kind of naturally funny in her responses to things, and so I think that helps even sort of the more dramatic and emotional moments sort of be a little humorous. And at the end of the first episode, when this incident happens, she kind of goes a little nutso at karaoke, and like it's definitely not funny. It's very emotional, I think. So I don't want to say that she's always funny, but she can definitely wring laughs out of things that maybe in somebody else's hands would come off as a little more morose or dramatic than the creator intended. So I enjoyed this show. I think she's funny in it. Looking forward to the Michael Cera part, because I like him, but I haven't seen him yet. And I think we're tackling some interesting topics. And she is sort of playing not quite a version of herself. It's not quite the same as some of the other things like the Rami Youssef show or something, but maybe kind of like Shrill with A.D. Bryant, whereas she's not really playing herself. She's playing, though, somebody with issues that A.D. Bryant identifies with, such as weight problems. For Amy Schumer, it's, sort of family problems, having this sort of disorder where you kind of eat your hair all the time. She just kind of came out about that and said, yes, this is, a story from my own personal life and whatever. So I think it's kind of more in that vein. Like, it's not like this character is a stand-up comic or anything. But look, the proof is in the pudding with this show, because yes, critically it's doing well, 91% on Rotten. That's no surprise. But even audience-wise, it's at a 79%. And Amy Schumer is one of the most, love it or hate it people in Hollywood. So many people hate on her. I personally don't get it. I really, really like her, but I know a lot of people hate her. So the fact that she's got a 79% with audiences for this show proves that it's a winner, right? So I'm going to leave Life and Beth with an A-. All right, up next, let's talk about these two competition programs. They're very different, so we're not going to talk about them, in one sort of review here. We're going to review them separately, but they're both very, very bizarre. So first up, Is It Cake on Netflix? This is a show that several people told me to watch. Some of the viewers of this program were like, oh, you got to see Is This Cake and review it. And some of my friends just sort of outside the YouTube world also mentioned it. So this is based on a concept that was being kind of popular online, I guess on maybe TikTok or something, where, these things look absolutely real and then it turns out they're cake. So, these people can make amazing things with, fondant and all these different things at their disposal that look real. And so I thought originally this was going to be kind of a one-off, like every episode there would be new people. But no, it's a reality show in the sense that there's a crew of, I think it's 9 people maybe, or maybe it's 10, I forget, but that go through the whole series. Nobody ever gets eliminated. I mean, eventually people do get eliminated as they get down to the finals, but nobody ever leaves. They're all sitting there in kind of the audience in the studio, still helping out and, shouting ideas out to the bakers that are up that round or whatever. So nobody ever like goes home. And I thought that was a nice touch. But it starts with them eyeing up, 6 different items that, have a similar theme, and only one of them's cake, so they have to figure out which one's cake. Whichever gets the right answer in the fastest amount of time gets to compete that week and pick 2 of their, cake-making competitors, and then they bring pseudo-celebrities, all from, like, Netflix shows. Almost every single person they had on the show, Mikey Day would be like, oh, it's from the Netflix, show this, or, oh, this person has a stand-up special on Netflix. They could have brought some outside people in. But anyway, and then they have to decide from what the bakers made, which ones are cake. It's one of these shows like Masked Singer, or I Can See Your Voice, where it sounds like a completely inane concept, so stupid. Why would I watch this? But like those shows, this turns out to be kind of a lot of fun. And look, I don't watch really baking shows, so I'm unfamiliar with a lot of the terminology, much like the host Mikey Day was. I know him from SNL, but even he said like knows nothing about cake. He didn't even know what fondant was, which I at least knew what that was from, Crime Scene Kitchen and some other things. But he actually is one of the weaker elements of the show. I like him on SNL, and he's actually hosted some fake game shows there that I thought he did a better job with. I don't know. He's a little too goofy for his own good. He does like these dad jokes and whatever, and I'm fine with it. But he just comes across as too much of a dum-dum. Like, I don't know, like Joel McHale, I feel like on Crime Scene Kitchen also, doesn't really know maybe much about cooking, but he at least, is adept at, thinking quick on his feet with a joke or something like that. The Is It Cake drinking game is very easy. Anytime they say cake or fondant, you just drink. You'll be drunk by episode 2. I will say I watched all the 8 episodes of this. This is an easy binge. I watched them all over the course of 2 days. I know usually for my review shows, I only watch like the first couple episodes, get a taste of the show. But this one, I really got invested in, and I wanted to find out who was going to win, and I got into the contestants and stuff. And it just the absurdity of what people can make that is actually a cake, but it looks so realistic. Some of the stuff that they made was mind-blowing. I don't think maybe it's as fun to watch as Crime Scene Kitchen, which, by the way, I hope returns this summer. I keep talking about it, but I don't think there's been an official word yet on that. I hope it comes back. So it's maybe not quite up there for me, and Mikey Day certainly pales a little bit in comparison to Joel McHale. But I had a lot of fun watching this show, and I like that they don't eliminate the contestants. I like that they're sticking around to help the other contestants out and sort of, maybe josh them a little bit from the stands. But no, and rooting them on too. I like that we had sort of that element of it too. So overall, I leave Is It Cake with a B+. A lot of fun. All right, and then next we go to American Song Contest, and there's some big names involved here as well. Not just the hosts, Kelly Clarkson and Snoop Dogg, but there are some very famous singers competing here as well, including Michael Bolton and Jewel. And this is sort of based on the Eurovision Song Contest. They're saying that it's based on that. I think there's a lot of differences that we can get into, but one thing that is the same is that we are seeing original songs performed for the very first time by groups, musicians, whatever. And in this case, it's from different states and territories. In Eurovision, it's from different countries. And listen, Eurovision has been going on for a long, long time. I was not really too familiar with it until they made that Will Ferrell movie like 2 or 3 years ago with Rachel McAdams called Eurovision. And I didn't really know the extent of it. I mean, it dates back to the 70s. ABBA won one year, so it differs in the sense that people aren't like doing these crazy costumes and stuff. Some of the performances are over the top. The NBC has spared no expense in terms of like set design and dancers and, making it be, like a special performance, something to watch. But I think one of the hallmarks of Eurovision is sort of the crazy costumes and stuff that the people are wearing. And here we don't really get any of that. What we get is a slightly generic song contest, but what I like about it is it's original material. Like we watch The Voice or American Idol or, a lot of those, it's all about making the cover song sound good. This is all original stuff, which I really like. It reminds me a little bit of Songland, which is also on NBC, where they go in, a songwriter goes in and plays their song, and then, some experts tweak it, and then they come back, and then the celebrity, gives them the go-ahead or whatever for that week. They choose the winner. But here, this is all sort of based on us, the viewers. There is a jury that by the end of each episode decides who will go forward to the next round. There's like 11 or 12 that perform every round from, the random states. They haven't done Pennsylvania yet, I'm hoping. Or maybe they did it this week. I think it was on yesterday, and I haven't watched it yet. But I watched the first 3 of this. I'm like all in on this show, too. And so the jury picks one to move forward, and then us, the audience, gets to call in and TikTok and whatever to send the next 3 people in. Most of them are no names, but you've got Michael Bolton, Cisco, Jewel, some actual people, which I think is weird. Yes, okay, who else are you going to get from Alaska but Jewel? All right, but there's got to be some band up in Alaska, or some singer-songwriter that wants to, do something of their own. So it's a little unfair. Some of them have not gone through. Michael Bolton did. I don't think I saw the results of the Jewel episode yet, so I don't know if she went through. But, I don't know. Michael Bolton's so popular. It's like having Rick Astley come on or something, everybody loves Rick Astley. So I think it would have been a little better to have only no names, but I understand at the same time, you want people to watch as well. So, if you hear Michael Bolton's going to be on, and just the same, they've had people that have been signed to record deals and just maybe fell apart. One of the winners from week 2 was on The Voice, and I think he got very high up in the Voice rankings. So I guess, maybe it's not that bad, but it's hard to compete with Michael Bolton, I think, But the other thing is this is live. It's live. Kelly Clarkson and Snoop Dogg are just hanging out, doing their thing. They are great hosts, a lot of fun to watch. So, not to go on too much longer about it, but I probably could. This was another very good show, and I also give it a B+, just like Is It Cake. I think, if you're expecting the crazy costumes of Eurovision, maybe you'll be disappointed, but I've been enjoying the music, and, Snoop and Kelly are great hosts, a lot of fun together. All right, so finally we have Human Resources. This is over on Netflix. It is an animated adult comedy, and it is a spinoff to Big Mouth, celebrating, or centering, I should say, around the workplace of the hormone monsters from that series. So a lot of the people are, reviving their voices for that. Nick Kroll among them. He's sort of one of the chief people from Big Mouth, but you also have Maya Rudolph reprising her role, and some new people as well. I don't know who all is in Big Mouth and who's not, because I don't watch the show. I know I'm supposed to, but But A.D. Bryant and Randall Park and Keke Palmer are all in this as well. And I don't know if they're on Big Mouth or not. But I know Maya Rudolph and Nick Kroll are, and some of the other people, Pamela Adlon from Big Mouth, are reprising roles here as well. I know Big Mouth is supposed to be hilarious and stuff. I got there's another one. Put that on the list of the shows from the 2010s that Dan needs to watch. But I think Big Mouth is actually still on. I think maybe the final season is coming up, but that's still like an active show. But this is a spinoff to that, and they are fourth wall breaking. I don't know if they do that in Big Mouth, but they're doing that here and saying like, well, we already had that show Big Mouth, and now we're gonna do this. Big Mouth meets The Office, and now you get Human Resources. So they're basically like pitching the show to us, the audience, I guess, if we're unfamiliar with Big Mouth. And I know like the premise of the hormone monsters and everything. I thought this was kind of funny. I don't love the animation style of these shows, and I think maybe it's one of the reasons I never watched Big Mouth, because I like, a body, animated show. But I don't know. There's something about the design of the hormone monsters and just the sort of animation that didn't really appeal to me. And so that carries over here. But, it has a few funny lines. I think definitely it's one of these shows that's going a little too hard for the gross out humor. Having the characters say disgusting things instead of having a punchline. There's, a fair amount of that. But look, if we're going to compare it to The Office, okay, well, The Office is one of the top comedies of all time, so are we going to, be in that league? Probably not. So I think we'll settle for something down the line a little bit from The Office, but obviously, again, that's their premise, to get you in the door. I like some of these people. Nick Kroll, I gotta give the man some credit, because when he first came on the scene, maybe like 10 or 12 years ago, I thought he was just horrible and so annoying, and he would show up like on those VH1 I Love the 80s and stuff and be very not funny. But over the years, he's done some interesting things. He's played dramatic roles in movies that I didn't expect. And he really is doing some cool voices here. Like, one of them sounds more like Will Arnett than Nick Kroll. And I'm like, this has to be Will Arnett, right? No, it's Nick Kroll doing some sort of Will Arnett type voice. I don't know if that's specifically what he's going for, but if you gave me 10 guesses, I wouldn't have said Nick Kroll. So I will give him that he has some vocal talents there. And I kind of like the concept of the hormone monsters, I have to admit. Sex is something everybody thinks about all the time, so we got it. So in that respect, it works. So yeah, I think the show's okay. I don't know that it necessarily makes me want to watch Big Mouth any more than, more or less than I already was going to. But I think if that series is closing, this could certainly fill the gap for people who are going to be missing Big Mouth and want to see some of their favorite characters maybe in something else. I leave Human Resources with a B. I think it's fine. And for somebody who knows nothing really about Big Mouth, it did kind of work for me in that regard. So I think that's usually a good sign as well. So all right, well, that will do it. Next week, Moon Knight for sure. I know I keep talking about it, but I've gotten so far behind here which is good, because it allows me to watch multiple episodes of things. So, by the time I do Moon Knight, I think the series might be over, because I think there's only 5 episodes, but we'll see about that. But that's definitely next week. Trying to think of what else, and I don't even know, but that certainly we can put on the list. So all right, we'll see everybody next time. Thank you for watching on Dan Reviews It. Bye.